Andy, we know that the last couple of months, the last several months under this Trump regime has cost us, right? It's cost me my mental health. It's cost me sleep. It's cost me the rise of my anxiety and cortisol levels. It has cost me a lot, right? But funny, and I know that many people are like, yeah, and one to that
Yeah,
comment. But Donald Trump's policies, right, are costing us literally and figuratively, right? It's costing us our standing in the world. It's costing us America being seen as a leader. And now it's costing us millions of dollars. And no, I'm not just talking about his now paused tariff war. I'm talking about this vanity fucking parade that he wants to have so that he can do his best Kim Jong Un and Putin cosplay, which is that Donald Trump wants to throw himself a birthday party that coincides with the Army's 250th anniversary, which will include as many as 25 tanks rolling through Washington in celebration that will cost, wait for it, Andy, 25 million to 45 million dollars of taxpayers' money. The US military service branch, according to Reuters, takes pride in their history and anniversary celebrations called birthdays across the United States and on bases around the world. But guess what? It's never been like this. The U.S. Army had been long planning to move troops and equipment to the National Mall in Washington on June 14th as part of the anniversary celebration. Plans now include a parade since that coincides with Trump's 79th birthday. So the military had always been planning to, probably in the way that you do like an exhibit on the
right,
National Mall. Here's
right.
here's a tank, here's some stuff. Um, but it wasn't gonna cost the taxpayers of these United States 25 to 45 million dollars to get 25 tanks rolling down the street along with the military clad in their uniforms. As what is Donald Trump going to pop out from the top of a tanker? I have no doubt, waving to the crowd. What do you make of this? Because I think that it's obscene, but what isn't obscene that Donald Trump touches? I don't know.
Well, it's obscene and it's an absolute waste of our money. Uh, but I think it's worse than that. It's authoritarian. This is what fascists do. Like you said, this is his Kim Jong Un impression. This is what we used to see from the Soviet Union. This is just straight up what authoritarian governments do. They hold huge parades to, to celebrate their military prowess, or pretend military prowess, and they do shit like this, and they make the birthday of dear leader a national event when it absolutely obviously shouldn't be. So yeah, I just think, again, this is kind of like the Grok thing in the sense that it goes so much deeper than just, wow, this is
Mhm.
dumb, and this is a waste of taxpayer money, all both of which are absolutely true. And of course, it's the irony is not lost, and about this government, and with its Doge and everything supposedly trying to be cost cutting, to be spending $45 million on this parade and exhibition. But this is something Trump has wanted.
He wanted it in his first term.
That's what I was going to say. I remembered
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
That he really wanted it in his first term. This is not a surprise that Trump would want this. Everything we know about the man would, and his insecurities would let you know that he wants a giant parade in his honor. But at least in his first term, there were people around him that said, maybe you shouldn't do this. And he listened to them. And now, of course, as we've seen with everything else, with Trump 2.0, there's nobody around him that tells him no anymore. And as I've been saying for a while now, this also fits perfectly with the idea that Trump is a figurehead. Trump is, he ain't running anything.
No.
He's the guy that gets trotted out, as I keep saying, and to go to the Super Bowl and the Daytona 500. And this fits that perfectly. You put him, like you said, he'll either pop out of a tank, and all the MAGA people will go nuts at how strong he looks.
Yep.
And I remember saying back during his first term that I thought the best way to deal with Trump would be to like fly him to Mar-a-Lago, but don't tell him where they're going. Tell him that he's being moved to a secure base. Give him a general's uniform and let him like have people around him who pretend that he is like running the military and that he's doing things. And meanwhile, it's all just a prop set. But he has no idea. And this is that. This is that exactly. This is the guy who got out of military service by claiming bone spurs a million times, wanting to make it look like he is some kind of military hero. And it's the typical cosplay that we see from MAGA in so many ways with so many different things. It's just, this one is so goddamn authoritarian and fascist that it's disgusting.
Fist bump, flag, fire emoji. That's that.
Yeah.
That's this. And look, there are other ways because I think that that is important. I think the point that you made in terms of autocracy, this is exactly what it looks like. He's going to put it under the guise of, "Oh, we're celebrating our military," but he's not celebrating the military. Like that's a fucking ruse and a lie, right? He wants to look like a strong man. And how do you look like a strong man? You showcase the might and power of your military. It has nothing to do with the people of the military. It has everything to do with Donald Trump. And I'm certain there won't be any women, there won't be any people of color in that little parade. I am certain that they will all look like something out of an Aryan film.
Just say
Is
they'll look like me, Danielle. You could say it.
I'll say that. They'll look like Andy. Blue eyes, pale skin. Um, but that's not the only way that Donald Trump is costing us, right? Right now, moving swiftly through Congress, we have Donald Trump's literally titled Big Beautiful Budget that is moving through Congress right now to give more tax breaks to the ultra wealthy. And how are they doing that? By literally taking food out of the mouths of the poor. You can't get more disgusting and transparent and just gross. That in order for Elon Musk to ensure that he never has to pay taxes, that Mike Johnson can buy another home, that Donald Trump can get another gold toilet, we're going to cut Medicaid, cut Social Security, cut SNAP benefits, cut Head Start. We're going to do away with any programs that were ever put in place to help the less fortunate of us in order to continue to prop up the most privileged. And that is America in a nutshell. And on top of which, it's going to add $4 trillion to the national debt. But who cares about that, Andy?
Well, not Republicans, unless there's a Democrat in office. Then they are, extremely angry about deficit spending. But you're right. They obviously don't care now. And I'm starting to think, Danielle, that maybe they never really cared. But yeah, look, we're looking at taking food out of people's mouths. We're looking at cuts to Medicaid. It's at the point where someone like Josh Hawley, who is one of the worst people in the Senate, is sitting there saying he can't support it because of the Medicaid cuts. And do you know, I mean, think about how bad this has
How
to be.
bad it has to be for Josh
Think
Hawley, who
about
gave
that.
a fist pump to the January 6th
Right.
insurrectionist.
Right.
And that Josh Hawley, who said that there's nothing wrong with being called a Christian nationalist and like takes that as a badge of honor. For him, Medicaid cuts are just a bridge too far. That's how fucking bad this is.
Yeah, and look, he is a full-on Christian nationalist, so of course he doesn't think there's anything wrong with being called that. But yeah, this is bad, and there's a lot of reporting around it. And look, it's still moving its way through the House, and there's been a lot of reporting on it that's basically touting or pointing out at least that it's not as bad as it could have been, which is true. You can always say that about anything.
I guess.
But there are there are Republicans, and I think Trump wanted bigger cuts to things like Medicaid, and they backed off a little bit, but it's still really bad. And this is the Republican version of compromising. As I always like to say, it's like if someone says to you, "I want to kill you," and you say, "No, I don't want you to kill me," and they say, "Okay, I'm just going to hurt you," and you say, "Well, no, I don't want you to hurt me," and they say, "Why won't you compromise?"
Mm.
That's this. That is exactly this. And it's just this coupled with you know spending millions of dollars on a dumbass parade, uh, and which is, I'm sorry, that's redundant because all parades are dumbass, I think.
Not
But
all
this,
of them. Sometimes I
I
like a
think,
parade, but go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
I hate.
Fine.
It's just a personal thing. I hate parades, and I can assure you, every member of the military that has to be part of that parade does not want to do it.
No,
It's some of the worst.
that I would believe.
Some of the worst duty in the army was when you got put on parade duty. But just, when you couple these things together, like the things he wants to spend money on, i.e., things
Himself.
himself, right? Things that benefit himself, and the things where he wants to cut money, funding, i.e., things that might actually benefit other people. It's just, you just put it all together, and it's the perfect encapsulation of where we are right now. And I guess the only question is, are all these people, and I'm talking here not about members of Congress or whatever, I'm talking about people that voted for Trump and that said things like, he fights for me. Will they wake up? At some point, will they wake up? I don't know the answer to that question. I'm hopeful that they will, but they've had a myriad of opportunities to wake up before, and they're still sitting there with their eyes completely shut.
So, one of the other pieces that ties into all of this is the fact that Republicans, led by Donald Trump, have been telling us that he's playing 4D chess with these tariffs and he's going to bring manufacturing back to America. And that, he's going to reinstate the factories and workers, and everyone's going to cheer. Walk in Tim Cook of Apple, who has announced that he is moving his manufacturing facilities from
Oh, he's
China.
bringing them back? He's bringing them back?
Oh, yes. If back you mean to India.
Oh.
They are not going to the United States. They are going to
Mm.
India because they're going to go to another place where you can exploit impoverished workers, don't have to worry about health care, hours, unions, worker safety, et cetera, et cetera. And Donald Trump apparently is upset about this and said, "How come you couldn't bring them back to America?" And Tim Cook basically looked at him and left.
Yeah. Look, this is President Deals, right? This is the guy, the sharp businessman who gets all these deals done. Meanwhile, what did he do with his huge tariffs on China? He didn't totally back down, because we still have tariffs that are higher than, they were. And it's still going to be costing American consumers more to buy things. But he backed off, his insane, over 100% tariff. And then he claims that he made a great deal with China. No, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You got taken by China, the way you get taken by everybody, the way you're getting taken by the Qatari government with this asinine 747, which he has been trumpeting as this incredible gift. And
Mhm.
it turns out, as Forbes reported, that this Qatar has been trying to get rid of this jet since 2020, and nobody would buy it. Absolutely nobody would buy it. And it will actually save the Qatari government money to get rid of it in maintenance fees, storage costs, all things like that. So they just want to offload this thing. And they found their sucker, Donald J. Trump, because that's what he is ultimately. He is a sucker. All you have to do is pretend you are doing him a huge favor, and pretend that you are worshiping at his altar, and he will buy whatever the hell it is you're selling. And so he keeps making these horrible deals. And, he sits there and says, "Oh, we're going to bring China in line." China does not come in line. We're going to bring these big companies in line, and they're going to start making their products in America again. And like you said, Tim Cook laughs in his face. This is who he is. He is the guy that bankrupted a casino.
I just want to read this quote from the Forbes article though.
Yeah.
From this is coming from Linus Baer, who is a managing director of the Dubai-based aviation consulting firm BAA and Partners. This is what he said about what Donald Trump has called the most beautiful gift, etc. Quote, Qatar, like many modern states, is shifting toward leaner, more versatile aircraft, which offer better economics and more discreet presence for official travel. Giving the plane to Trump would be a, quote, a creative disposal strategy that marks, quote, a farewell to a bygone model of geopolitical theater in the skies. Could you not find a better fucking chump?
I know.
The tackiest fucking person? Oh, Donald, we'll give you the palace in the skies. They haven't been able to off this shit for 5 years. It's been on the market. And they're like, who would be gaudy and stupid enough to want to take on this burden? As we're modernizing, we see America is going backwards. So here you go. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Trump the chump.
Trump the chump. There you have it.